good morning. To be free to be who we are, not who we want to become, but who we are. We are all created with a unique design, and it's important that we identify what that design is and step inside of it. Well, good morning to this morning's presentation of Science for Successful Living seminar. I am your facilitator and host, Gregory Asar Stanton. For those of you who are joining in the YouTube room, I want to say good morning to you. Please feel free to participate by dropping your comments in the comment section. And for those who are in the Zoom room this morning, I ask that you do the same. I want to get started. Let's get started this morning. Welcome to Finding the Joy of Life. And it starts with finding you. Yes, that's what my presentation is about today. Our objectives, what I want to cover in this short time that we have together, although it looks like a lot, is not a lot. By the end of this teaching, you as a participant will be able to understand the importance of self-awareness, spiritual awareness, and true self-expression. You'll be able to recognize and connect with your true, authentic selves by integrating your mental, emotional, and physical attributes with your spiritual essence, properly aligned. Okay, and thirdly, you apply practical strategies such as journaling, meditation, mindfulness, self-compassion to enhance self-awareness and spiritual awareness. Lastly, you're going to embrace vulnerability and how to live authentically by aligning your actions with your core values and true identity, leading to a more fulfilling and joyful life. So that's our objective this morning as we prepare to move through this presentation. So, will the real self stand up? Are you guys familiar with this image? This image is an image that was a talk show from the 50s, where the celebrities would discern the real person amongst the imposters. Then they would parallel to find out each of them to find out the true selves. They would ask questions amongst them, and lastly, they asked the right questions, and they would reflect deeply. And I say that we must do a similar process to identify who our real self is. We have a lot of imposters, at least 3 imposters presenting as who we really are. That's our emotional self is an imposter, our mental self is an imposter, and our physical self is an imposter. And we want to address that this morning. Finding the joy in life starts with you. That is, you must have an understanding of self-awareness, spiritual awareness, and your true self-expression. Too many people are going through life just getting along to get on, not having joy, not expressing through life with mastery, but life is mastering them. They don't go to sleep with the expectation of a new day. They go to sleep thinking or reflecting on what has been and generating the same old stuff the next day. So we want to look at how self-awareness plays into that, spiritual awareness, and how through understanding both of those, you can begin to express your true self. But the question starts with, who are you? No, I'm asking you, no, really, who are you? You know, if you were to define yourself, how do you lead in? Do you say, I am a mother, I am a father, I am black, I am white, I'm a female, I'm short, I'm tall, I'm small, I'm sad, da, da, da. All these things. You have to be very careful how you define yourself. But to truly define yourself, you have to know yourself. Many of us are defining ourselves in terms of identity theft. We are all victims of life. We can be, well, you can look at it as you are a victim. We have all been impacted by the families of origin we are dropped into, by the communities we spend most of our times in, by the jobs we do, by our educational level. We are impacted by whether or not you're male or female. All of those things are real. And what happens is we tend to use those things to identify who we are. We get to the place where we solely identify as human beings, but we are not human beings. We've been living and expressing merely as humans, so we don't realize that our true design is that of a divine spiritual being. We got to understand we are so caught up in, we've been this caterpillar for so long, we don't realize that that caterpillar are experiencing things in this state that one day it will come out of its cocoon and it will flower into a butterfly. So let's get started this morning by looking at self-awareness as it pertains to finding the joy in you, looking beyond the apparent. Here we are. We got to understand that self-awareness is the conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. And it involves introspection, strengths and weaknesses, emotional awareness, behavioral insight, authenticity. It involves all of those, being aware of them, actually taking an inventory. When you look at introspection, we're talking about the ability to look inward and examine your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. That's your mental aspect of who you are. You have to take inventory, become aware, because for many of us, we define ourselves as either a mental being, we are over identify with our emotional selves, or we identify with our physical selves, or a combination thereof, mental, emotional, or physical. And we know those are only four aspects of, I mean, three of the four aspects of who we are. Man is a spirit being that possesses a soul and lives in a body. That is, man has four dimensions to him. Man has a spiritual dimension, a mental dimension or aspect, emotional aspect, and a physical aspect. What has happened is we over identify with that which is observable, that is our physical selves, our emotional selves, and our mental selves. And so we want to move beyond that limitation. So when we're talking about introspective, we're talking about looking inward and examining your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. Understanding strengths and weaknesses is important. Recognizing your abilities and areas for improvement. Not only recognizing the areas of that improvement is necessary, but celebrate. Lead with your strengths and work on your weaknesses, I tell individuals. We ought to also become aware of our emotional awareness, being mindful of your emotional responses and understanding their impact on yourself and others. When you have an emotional response that's over the top, don't just move on, get through it, but take some time and reflect. The closer you reflect on that situation, that is, the closer you can, when it happens, take some time and breathe and ask, why did I respond that way? What's going on? What other options did I have? Why did I find it difficult to exercise those options? So we want to look at, become aware of our emotional selves when we're talking about who are we. Many times our emotional selves is the very thing that's defining who we are, how we show up in the moment. So we got to take control of our emotional self. We got to bring our mental selves, our emotional selves, and our physical selves under subjection to the things of God. And what is the things of God? That is your spiritual self. Your spiritual self is an aspect of the greater source or greater of God as you know it. And we have to let our lives be led by our spirit self versus being led by the other three, mental, emotional, or physical. That means you also have to, when we talk about self-awareness, look at your behavioral insights. You want to understand how your actions affect your life and your relationships. Not just how it affects you, but how does your actions impact those you're in relationship with, those who are in your household, those who are on your job, those who you're connected with. Sometimes we look at people and we fail to realize how they're responding to us is as a result of how we are showing up, what we are initiating. You know, sometimes we see two people arguing, and you usually focus on the one who the last person voice you heard, but what caused that person to go off. So we need to take responsible and by having a level of behavioral insight. And the last piece, as far as it pertains to self-awareness, is authenticity. Yes, aligning your actions with your true self and core values that support your design. That means you know who you are. We're going to talk about these. The authenticity is one that many people are showing up in lives as duplicates and not truly authentic individuals, and we want to address that. So awareness inside of authenticity, we're talking about aligning your actions with your true self. You got to find your true self. Who's your true self? It's your spirit self and your core values. That is the beliefs that support your design. So part of what we have to do is go back and look at our beliefs. Are our beliefs supporting our true self, or do our beliefs supporting our physical, mental, or emotional selves? And very important that we do that. So when we talk about self-awareness, it's the foundation for personal growth and development, enabling you to make informed decisions, improved relationships, and to lead a more fulfilling life. So we must look beyond the apparent. We must really drill down, do some introspection, identify our strengths and our weaknesses, opportunities to grow. Don't lead with your weaknesses. You're going to show up in a mediocre way. You probably won't even show up, but accentuate your strengths and use your strengths. Build on the positives that you may address those areas that you consider weaknesses in your life. So that's important. So when we talk about spiritual awareness, we're talking about to tell the truth. Okay, um, spiritual awareness is the recognition and understanding of your connection to a higher power or divine essence, often referred to as God or divine mind, source, spirit, supreme being. What names do you refer to God as? Type a name in there. I would like to hear from you this morning. How do you refer to the higher power or divine essence? What are some of the names you guys use? Just go ahead and type them in there. Let me see what we have this morning. And good morning to each of you who has joined us. I guess you guys are not going to be responsive this morning. The question is, thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl uses the term source supreme. Can I get two more people to type in how do you, what term do you use to refer to God? Do you still use God? Do you use Lord? Again, I'm asking that you all be participatory when you come out here. So I had one person just type that in this morning. So I want to say I appreciate you, Cheryl, for typing in your response. Okay. Rachel, the Most High, Source, the Creator. Yes. Angie B says, I still use God and Lord. And you all can choose to use the term that represents your highest and greatest good. But I want you to be mindful of the term you use oftentimes will dictate your ability. The reason why I moved from using the term God has multiple layers to it. One of them, when I thought of God, it automatically the image of a white male, the image of an individual sitting high, looking to catch you doing something wrong, because that's what the church had projected on me. You know, God was always punishing. God was always represented as the old white male when you look at the images. So I had to erase that because I found the audience I was dealing with that really wasn't, they weren't resonating with it. They were stepping away from spirituality or religion because of that. So you began to identify some more user-friendly terms, such as the ones I've shared with you, that divine mind, source, spirit. I even use it. I like to use it because it encompasses all of that. It's not exclusive or defining source as one dimensional. And so we have to be careful when whatever term that we use, it must align with source spirit. God is a spirit, or source is a spirit. When you use the term God, it usually automatically shows up in your mind as a male phenotype, and is very anthropomorphic, anthropomorphic, meaning it has hands, it has ears, it has eyes. But we have to understand God or source has none of those things. We do because we are created in order to be in this realm, but source is a spirit, and we want to stay as true to that as possible. So thank you for sharing those. I still use God, source, and my mom is one of the oldest in the group, and she has shifted from using the traditional term to using source. Rachel says, I still use God, which depending on who I am talking to, but it too, when I use the term God, if see in my mind's eye an angry white male with a large gavel. Yes, and so many of us, if we're honest, we will say these things. So that's important. And then, like you say, got to be wise. When I'm speaking to individuals, because oftentimes Cheryl will ask me, "You vacillate." Sometimes you say, "God," because it's my audience. Many people who show up on the call, I can look at the call and I can see who's new and who's been with me. If it's an audience of individuals who've been with me sometimes, understand my teachings, then I use the terms that represent my highest and greatest good. But if I'm teaching individuals who are first timers, I'm going to meet them where they are. So as you move through life, your spirituality is about you and not necessarily about imposing it on others. But if you're engaging with people, you have to be discerning enough to know what the goal is, to have communication. What terms, what examples do I need to use that they can identify with, and get them to from where they are to where I would love them to see, to be where I'm at, perhaps. Okay, so when we're talking about spiritual awareness, it's a recognition and understanding. That's the number one thing we have to become aware of, that we are spirit beings, that we are, our core value has to be that we are made of God's stuff, that we are gods in the earth, that we are aspects of God, that each of us are a representation of source in the earth. Now, are you representing source in its highest and greatest form, or are you representing it in a mediocre form, low vibrationally? That's part of what the growing process is about. So when we talk about the parts of spiritual awareness, we're talking about inner connection. Um, the, there was a question here. Um, Okay, that came later. So the interconnection is feeling deep, feeling a deep sense of connection to something greater than yourself, which can provide guidance and purpose. So when we have a spiritual awareness, we understand the oneness of being, that we're not alone. In the old church, we understood that the Holy Spirit was in us, it led us, it guided us, that we could breathe it. But then we come to the place where we really understand that we are the Spirit. The Holy Spirit is in us. The Holy Spirit is the Spirit of Source that's in us. Our spirit is holy. So we want to have an inner understanding, inner connection. Another aspect of spiritual awareness has to do with mindfulness and presence. Yes, mindfulness and presence. Being present in the moment and mindful of your spiritual essence at all times, and the divine energy within you and around you. And don't allow your divine self to be hijacked by your mental self, okay? By the reality of reasoning. Don't allow your divine self to be hijacked by the emotional self, which is so easy to be hijacked, or your physical self. Or when I talk about your physical self, the how you, what you're feeling right now, okay? You cannot, you, a lot of times I use the example like this. Sometimes when I ask people how are they doing, they will say, I am sad. No, you don't, you're not sad. That you're not defined as sad. I am experiencing a state of sadness. I'm experiencing things that, as a result, I'm feeling sad. So we got to watch our words. We got to be mindful of what we say. We got to be mindful of how we look at things. Change the way we look at things. The things we look at change. Change the way we define things. The things we define change. So we want to be present. We have to live life in the moment, in the nowness. And then that way you can pull down the thoughts. You can pull down the imaginations. You can pull down the things that exalt themselves, that are attempting to hijack you. So we got to be mindful. So inside of spiritual awareness, that includes intuition and inner wisdom, trusting and tuning into intuition as a form of your inner guidance from your spiritual self. You're not guided by your head, which is your intellect. You're guided by your heart, which is your intuition. So we want to understand that we're guided by intuition. We use our intellect to pull off what we've learned or what we've been told intuitively to do, or we feel we should do. Now I feel intuitively I need to go here. Now I can use my intellect to find what is the best way to get there. Okay, so let the dynamic duo work together. Allow your intuition to lead and your intellect to follow. Let it be a harmonious dance between the intellect and the intuition. But the intuition should be leading. The other point is point four: purpose and meaning. We want to understand that understanding and living according to your higher purpose and deeper meaning of life. That is, you don't live life based on reacting to what's going. You respond to life in accordance with what you're creating or what you have created, what you see in your mind's eye, and you live from the end as if it's already happened. And you got to know, the more you become authentic, the more you tune into your divine spiritual self, you'll see your design. Otherwise, you're using your head to lead you to say, I think I should go down this career path. It pays the most, but you get the money, but then you don't have life satisfaction. You don't have joy. See, we don't have a lot of joy because we're being led by our heads. We don't have joy because we're being led by hearts that have not been transformed. We've been led by emotional selves, and we're led by physical limitations. And so the only way we can move from that is identify our purpose and know that life has more meaning than a 9 to 5 or a career. That you have to really understand that you are a divine spiritual being, that you've been dropped into this earth realm as source to experience life as source and to give source the opportunity to express in its divine way in your life. The last one here, as far as spiritual awareness, is harmony and peace. Experiencing a sense of inner peace and harmony that comes from aligning with your spiritual essence. You have peace, you have joy. You don't go through life, go from a happy moment to a happy moment, then you're chasing it. But when you are able to accept life on life's terms, you can find joy in every state. The word tells us no matter what state we're in, to be content. That is, we are not to become complacent, but we can find joy. We find joy by having gratitude. Even in the worst situation, you can find gratitude by simply saying it could have been worse or it could be worse. Sometimes we get to a situation and we may say it can't get no worse than this. It can always get worse. But you want it to get better by acknowledging, by having gratitude that this too shall pass, that it will get better, by having statements of things are always working out for me. And you're in harmony with what you expect, no matter what is going on. The word says all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord or understand the law in alignment with source. Okay? All things work together for the good of those who are in alignment, because all things don't work together if you're out of alignment. You got to get in alignment. You have to have resonance with source, and that's important. So we understand that we have to have a spiritual awareness if we really want to master this thing called life. It's important. Okay, I see you there, Angie. Yes, this teaching is about expanding I believe people are not here by accident or coincident. I believe people are here intentionally, and that means to get the most out of here. What you come here when you come here is to be open to receive. Okay, and then there's opportunities for you to give. I mean, not giving financially, but to give share your experience, your expression, to share when you move from a place of I thought I know, now I know. So that's important. So we got to have interconnection, mindfulness, intuition, and inner wisdom operating, purpose and meaning, harmony and peace. These are the things that we have to begin to take inventory of as it pertains to having spiritual awareness, to be able to tell the truth, to be able to identify who's leading. Is my mental man leading? Is my emotional man leading? Is my physical man leading? Is there an imposter that has stolen my true identity? The next one is true self-expression, living authentically through integrated attributes. Notice I said the integrated attributes. That is, man is a spirit that possesses a soul, which is your mental and emotional self, and lives in a body, your physical self. And you want to integrate those into your life. True self expression involves living in a way that is consistent with your core values, beliefs, and true identity. What are your core values? Do your core values align with being led spiritually, or are your core values aligning being led with physically or mentally or emotionally? So you have to make sure that as you shift, as you grow spiritually, that your core values are in alignment with being a divine spiritual being. That's really important. We have to identify our core values, our beliefs, and that helps us identify our true identity. Acknowledging and embracing your design as a divine spiritual being is what it's really all about. That's your true self expression. This means expressing your spiritual essence through the aspects of your natural self. What is your natural self? Your human self. That is your mental, emotional, and physical states. You want to draw from one of the books I read some years ago was Brene Brown. She did a lot of work on in the area of authenticity, and one of her books entitled "The Gifts of Imperfection." Here you help. She helps you understand living authentically through following some key aspects. And one of the key aspects is courage, compassion, connection, embracing, and wholeheartedly. So let's take a moment and look at each one of these. When we talk about leading with courage or living authentically through integrating the aspects of who we have to have courage. Courage to be imperfect. Yes, to be who you are, to make missteps. Authentic living requires the courage to be vulnerable. Most of us don't want to attempt anything that the potential of failing is there because we don't want to be vulnerable to one, the failing moment, or the expressions that people have. People don't give you credit for trying. Oftentimes, they look at the failure and they will accentuate that. So we want to have courage to be imperfect. Authentic living requires the courage to be vulnerable and embrace imperfections. Yes, imperfections. Brene emphasizes that it takes bravery to show up as you are and start from there without pretending or hiding behind a facade or operating as an imposter. As divine beings, we want to acknowledge that our imperfections are part of our human experience and growth. Matter of fact, the word says, "Be ye perfect, for I am perfect." You are perfect today, but you're expressing today imperfectly because tomorrow you're going to be more perfect. So you are perfect as you are, but you don't stay in that thing. You don't stand in that thing, but you're open to evolve. And you know that anything that is not evolving is dissolving. Anything that's not growing is stagnant, and anything that is stagnant ultimately becomes irrelevant and it's stale or it dies. So we want to be aware of that. The second point is compassion. Compassion for yourself and others. These are this is how you want your true self to express. And when you're doing this, you're living authentically through these attributes. Okay, so you want to have compassion for yourself and others. Being authentic involves treating yourself and others with kindness and understanding. And many times we will treat others with kindness and understanding before we treat ourselves. We treat other people that don't look like us with kindness and understanding before we will treat those who look like us, those who live with us, those who are us with kindness and understanding. And sometimes we don't even treat ourselves with kindness. We are our own worst enemy. We are always tearing ourselves down, limiting ourselves and how we define ourselves. So we got to have compassion for ourselves and others. This includes acknowledging your own struggles, acknowledge them, okay, and extending empathy to those around you, okay. Give empathy to those who also have struggles. Don't go into judgments, but understand, set for the grace of God, source, divine intelligence that could be you. Recognize your divine nature. Okay, so we extend this compassion from a place of spiritual love and connection. Okay, not a place of love that comes from a heart that's not regenerated. Most people operate in the love that is conditional, but when we're talking about having a new heart, then we can operate through 1 Corinthians 13. That is, we're able to do unto others as we desire to have done unto us. We don't do others in before we get done in. So we have compassion. The third point is connection. You want to have connection with your true self. We have connections with our mental selves. We have connections with our emotional selves. We have connections with our physical selves because they're in the natural world. But there's an aspect of us that cannot be seen that we must have a connection with our true self. Authenticity is about aligning your actions with your true self. What does that mean? That means being honest about your feelings, your thoughts, and your desires, and not conforming to external pressures or expectations. You don't have to conform to external pressures or expectations. Be authentic, be true to your design. That is important. As divine spiritual beings, we connect deeply with our inner selves and we allow this spiritual truth to guide our mental and emotional expressions. Fourth one is your true self-expression. That's important. Embracing your true self-expression. That is embracing vulnerability. Have to be vulnerable. According to Renee Brown in her book, vulnerability is at the heart of authentic living. It means allowing yourself to be seen, taking risks, and being open to uncertainty and emotional exposure. Being out front as a leader, you have to be willing to be vulnerable, or you will not be a good leader. You have to be willing to express your divine essence through your natural and spirit. I really work on myself. I'm very transparent. Uh, I'm vulnerable to the all eyes on me. Every week when you come out here, I'm sharing my position on things, and many of you will not respond because of vulnerability. Okay, sometimes when we don't respond, it's a vulnerability issue. Do I not respond because I don't want to get the answer wrong? Well, the question is, what is your opinion? What is your feeling? What do you think? That's where we want to start. You have to be vulnerable to the fact that you don't know what you need to know. Okay, and what you know at one point it was what you needed to know. Now you're growing. So we express our divine essence through our natural human experiences, bridging the spiritual and physical realm. That is, we have to integrate. We integrate our physical attributes, our mental, emotional, and physical selves, along with our spiritual guidance. Okay, and you're going to get it all together. You're going to get it right. But until you have some experiences, you will not know whether or not you got it right. You might have it right in your head, but it's a different thing. You think you a fighter. It's a different thing when you take that first blow to the head or blow to the lips, to the chops. So we want to know that as you go through life, you grow through life. Life experiences give you the opportunity to exercise the courage and compassion and connection and to live authentically. And the last one is a wholehearted living. Living wholeheartedly. Living authentically is about engaging in life from a place of worthiness. You're worthy. In her book, she describes wholehearted living as a way of embracing all aspects of life with a sense of love and belonging. As divine beings, we understand our inherent worth and live wholeheartedly, or we should, integrating our spiritual, mental, emotional selves into a unified, authentic expression. So you integrate. Even though man is a spirit that possesses a soul that lives in a body. Looks like he's tripartite. Or we redefine it, we drill it down that man is a spirit that possesses a soul, which is emotional and mental, and lives in the physical body. We have to integrate all of those. They are one. Okay, we are all aspects of you still come down to there's a oneness of being, but you have to ask yourself which aspects inside of who I am is leading me. That's the only way you're going to find joy in life is when you understand who's leading. And if the wrong character is leading, if an imposter is leading, then you will never be all that you have the potential to be. That's important. So by incorporating these principles, true self-expression becomes a path to greater joy and fulfillment. It allows you to live life that is true to your divine nature, fostering a deeper connection and a sense of genuine happiness through the harmonious and integration of our spiritual essence, our mental, emotional, and physical selves. I want you to really to grasp that. So, in conclusion, we have covered a lot of ground in this short time together. In the last 30 minutes we've been together. So we conclude our journey today by finding the joy of life starts with finding you. Okay, you got to identify who you are. So let's recap the key points we explored and outline our call to action on this morning. We started with to tell the truth, just like the game show, where the panelists discern the real person from the impostors. Our journey to joy involves identifying and embracing our true selves amidst various influences and distractions. When it comes to self-awareness, we have to understand our true self. That's really important. In summary, self-awareness is the conscious knowledge of our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It involves introspection, recognizing our strengths and weaknesses, and understanding how our behavior impacts our lives and relationship. The call to action inside of the spiritual awareness is I want you to consider engaging in practices like journaling this week, doing some meditation. Meditation, just being quiet and listening, following your breath, listening to the breath, and just going into the state of meditative, just nothing but inside. You enter in and you shut the door. Consider mindfulness. Just being present as you go through your day to deepen your self-awareness. From time to time, from moment to moment, you stop and you ask, what am I thinking? You stop and you ask, what am I feeling? You stop and I ask, what is going on? Don't just go through life automatically. Take time daily to reflect on your true thoughts and your feelings. Look at spiritual awareness. We talked about connecting with your divine essence. In summary, spiritual awareness is the recognition of your connection to a higher power or divine essence. It involves being mindful, intuition versus intellect, and understanding our higher purpose. Now, your call to action this week as it pertains to spiritual awareness is to cultivate a spiritual practice such as meditation, prayer, or mindfulness exercise. Seek to align yourself daily with daily actions with your spiritual beliefs and your core values. A good one for that is join us on our prayer line Monday through Friday. You don't have to come every day, but at least come out there and see what it's all about. Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6:15, and I'll drop that in the slide deck, so you'll see that here. So the other thing, the next one we covered is your true self-expression. We talked about living authentically. True self-expression means living in alignment with your core values and true identity, integrating your spiritual essence with your mental, emotional, and physical selves. It requires courage, compassion, and embracing vulnerability. The call to action this week, I want you to strive to express your true self in all areas of your life. Don't just show up as the imposter. Be vulnerable, be courageous in showing up authentically. Practice self-compassion, loving yourself, embrace your vulnerabilities as part of your human experience. Ask yourself, what areas have I not been willing to be vulnerable? Am I in relationships, but I'm not vulnerable to those I'm in relationship? Now you have to know who you can be vulnerable with and who you can't, but at least be able to identify when you're being vulnerable and when you're not. So the call to action this week is to integrate, begin integrating these practices into your daily routine. I want you to reflect on your true self, connect with your spiritual essence, and express your authentic self in all your actions and interactions. I want you to engage or join a community of activities such as a group meditation or workshops or discussion circles. Consider coming out on Tuesday nights. Get involved with Oasis everywhere, because we're anywhere, and where's anywhere is right there where you are. Get involved with us. Consider reflecting and growing this week. Continuously reflect on your progress, make adjustments as needed, celebrate your wins and your growth and the joy that comes with living authentically. When you do this, and by committing to these actions, you can embark on a transformative journey toward discovery of true joy and fulfillment in life. So remember that the path of joy starts with finding and embracing your true self. That's my challenge to you today. Well, if this teaching has been a blessing to you, consider being a blessing to the ministry. You can support the ministry by way of Zelle or Cash App by using 708-368-1076, or you can go to the website www.oasisspiritualcenter.com or www.oasisnewthoughtcenter.com. Consider supporting the ministry today. And I want to thank you on behalf of the ministry for your online giving, for it allows us to, one, bring this presentation to you, take care of the bills that need to be taken care of, and to do the things that we are called to do. So thank you. Oasis Spiritual Center for Divine Living. Also, as a community, we talk about not only the St. Louis New Thought Center, but wherever the New Thought Centers are being established, until they're established, we have a place called Oasis Everywhere. And that's right here. And our commitments and our integrity statements and our solution statement is right there on your screen for you to read. So consider coming alongside of us, being more actively involved, not just financially supporting, but let's grow the ministry in your local area. Can you do that? That's the call to action. So if you got a concern or care or share throughout the week, come on out and join us for 15 minutes of prayer and meditation daily. That is Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. And the dial-in number is 518-318-7801. 318-7801. That's a 518-318-7801. Look forward to seeing you. All right, we're going to go to our question and answer. So I thank you all for joining this morning. If you are interested in participating, you can stick around for as we go into the green room and have some conversation. If you're dropping off, I'll see you soon. So we're gonna go over here. Let me stop the share. Awesome. I hope that something was said that was uplifting and encouraging. Let me look over here in the Zoom room and I see that, hey, Cheryl, it's good to see Cheryl from Atlanta. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Um, that's right, Cheryl. We don't want to be transparent. Too many of us, we're not even transparent in our real relationships. So thank you for those comments. All right, let's go over here. If you got a question, you can raise your hand or you could drop it in the comment box. So let me go down here and see what was stated, Brother Sar. No matter how old the student is, sometimes I am still fearful or hesitant of giving the wrong answer or asking a question that feel I should know at this point. And that just shows us how uncomfortable we are with in life. We are oftentimes judged by what we say, judged by what we do. People don't are not open to looking at your response as a growing response, looking at the fact that you are attempting something that perhaps you haven't mastered. So you're going to come up with imperfections, but we have to take our focus on what's out there, the fear of how people will see us, the fear of how I will sound, particularly when you're in a learning environment that's safe. And this environment is safe. You'll never be attacked. And I hope to never respond to you in a way that is demeaning, but I hope to always start where you are, because in many cases, your answer at one point in life was my answer. I'm a little bit further down the track, one, because I'm teaching the lesson, and so I have the answers. And so when I ask that is not to toot my horn, but to really to get you to be vulnerable, to get you to really participate. So thank you for that. Cheryl says, Rachel, don't be afraid. We are in a safe space. Thank you, Cheryl, for affirming her. Yeah, you won't know until you ask the question or submit the point. Good, good, good. All right, great. So let me see. Do we have any other questions? Um, any? Oh, so okay. So here's how we're gonna leave this morning. If you were asked, you leave the house and somebody say, "Where you been? What you been up to?" And you say, "Well, I was on the teaching for the last hour." What was your takeaway? What will you tell them you got from this time together? I want everybody to respond. So this morning, I'm going to pull you in by voice. So I'm going to start with those who are familiar with. So Cheryl, good morning. You have the mic this morning. If you were met this morning, somebody say, where you been for the last hour? And you say, I've been in a seminar, and if we were dealing with securing the joy of life by finding ourselves, what would you say your takeaway would be this morning that you will share? Where are you at, Cheryl? I'll allow you to talk. You have the mic, Cheryl. Okay, so I'm not getting the feedback there. Let me go down down the road. Okay, good morning, Mom. I'm glad you're with us this morning. What would be one thing that you would say would be your takeaway this morning? All right, we'll move to the next person. Good morning, Angie B. What's your takeaway this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning, Angie. How are you doing?
Wonderful. I hope everyone is wonderful as well. My biggest takeaway was when you said seeing God in your mindset as a white angry man.
Mhm.
I grew up with God, Lord Jesus.
Right.
But in my mind, I never thought of him as being white.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to find a different name per se,
Mhm.
or maybe if I still use God, I'm never to look at him as being white.
Yes. How would you look at God? What is the definition of God, would you say?
I want to say it's like a spirit.
Oh, you hit it right on the head. Right. And the word of God tells us, or the word says that in God there's no white, no black, no male, no female, no Jew, no Greek. So anthropomorphically, source or God has no physical form. He only has physical form in relationship to being inside of us. But source is a spirit. God is a spirit. And those who worship it must worship it in spirit and truth. So that's good. So you can get to the place where you can use another term, but if that term has not gotten in the way, then I say use what works for you. I'm not trying to dictate that each of you have to change that, but I do want you to know why you will not hear me using it frequently. And when I'm using it frequently, you can rest assured that we have an audience of new people. Good. Thank you for sharing that this morning, Angie. You have a wonderful day, okay?
Thanks, you as well.
So, awesome. We're talking about being vulnerable. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna move back down the room. Rachel, good morning. What's your takeaway? Might want to unmute yourself, Rachel. I know you're not willing. You're not unwilling to speak. Maybe there's something going on with your mic. Okay, Rachel. I still let me see here. If you want to type your response in, you can do that this morning. Okay, I can hear you now. Well, I thought I heard you. Okay, let's go to Michelle. Good morning, Michelle. Thanks for being present. You have the mic. What's your takeaway this morning?
Good morning.
Yes,
And my takeaway this morning was to show up as your authentic self.
that's right. Authenticity. Is that difficult? Do you mind sharing? Is that difficult for you?
Yes, because when you go to work,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be a certain way
Mm-hmm.
around a different group of people.
Mm-hmm.
When you're around your family
Mm-hmm.
and you're the glue that
Yeah.
that everybody,
Holds it all together.
yeah, yeah. So I can't be expressive as I would want to be because they look at me in a different light, which makes me not sure
Mm.
that's who I really am.
Mm. And that's that's so important. But usually the expectations that people have of us is what we led with. If we've always been the one who rescue, so when you decide not to rescue, then they say you're not being authentic. Well, I wasn't authentic from the beginning. I was rescuing you to stay in relationship with you, or
Right.
because I was your mama. So one thing I do know, having been married for you were married for a very long time, so when you're in long-term relationships, you lose a sense of authenticity because you usually are integrating into, what makes a harmonious relationship. So those people who have been in long-term relationships, you got to be very careful and redefine who is my authentic self. Or you may have retired recently, and you may think you are this person that you've been at work, and you have to say, who am I? And so authenticity, and then being willing to express that, and be willing to let people know I'm showing up differently. This may be a little different response than you're accustomed to getting from me, but here's my response, and it's coming from a place of love, but it's coming from a place of authenticity. We can't compromise who we are. You don't have joy. Awesome. Thank you, Michelle, for sharing that. Awesome, awesome. Let's see here. Good. Let me see. Go back. See, Cheryl, are you there? I didn't know if you was having a problem with your mic. You have the mic.
Oh, shoot.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Good morning. My takeaway is similar to Michelle's because um well, I've actually always shown up as who I am, but my spiritual walk has been very different. It has transitioned, or no, that's not the word I want to use. I've grown. I've grown tremendously in my understanding of who Source Supreme is, and that we are God. And I say God because that's what the people in my immediate circle are familiar with the term. But when I speak to them, I try to express Source Supreme because, as Angie stated, when you use that terminology, that image comes up in your mind. It's automatic. If you have been uh, aligned to any of the traditional religious
Right.
teachings or beliefs. So
You grew up Catholic, right?
I grew up Catholic.
And
I
were
was
those what kind of images were all around the church?
statues of Joseph and Mary and
Yeah. Was any of them black or Hispanic?
no way. But I will say this. I will say this. My first introduction was in the 60s, like 69. My father was instrumental in bringing African drumming and an African American ensemble to the Catholic Church, and we would have what was called Black Sunday.
Hmm. How often was that?
Once, I think once a month, maybe. I don't quite remember, but I do remember them coming, and today I'm still connected with one of the family members. He's now a teacher in the public school systems, and I do see him from time to time. But I remember that as a child. But my takeaway is to be authentic
Right.
and to speak the truth in love, because people are where they are, and I was once there, but I'm expanding in my understanding of Source Supreme. So I don't want to be harsh in my speech to anyone, but just to let them know that I'm not there anymore. And I have expanded my understanding of Source Supreme.
Yeah, and then yes, one of the things sometimes you have to say to people, because people will try to hold you hostage to their last encounter with you. So if they haven't seen you since you've expanded in your beliefs and you start sharing them, they start looking at you side-eyed, and
Yes,
you want to say to people, I can acknowledge and I appreciate where you are, for I was once there. And where I'm at doesn't mean I'm any better than you are, but I am taking a more expanded approach. And I ask that you respect me for where I am just as
yes.
well as I respect you for where you are. And so that's being authentic. And I don't let people off the hook. I don't allow people to attempt to what do they call it when they gaslight you to make you feel like you something wrong with you because you
Yes.
have expanded, and then don't say I'll pray for. No, you don't tell me that. Don't ever say to me I'm going to pray for you as a result of my thinking is different from yours, because now I'm
Okay.
going to have to share some things with you. So
Okay, go back to Miss Rachel. She said
yeah,
her hand is being
I
raised.
got it there. I saw that. Thanks. So I let me go here. Okay, Miss Rachel, you have the mic. Uh, just unmute yourself. I don't know what's going on there. So let me go here. I see your hand is up. Try it now. Try unmuting yourself. Miss Rachel, I don't know why we having that problem there. Let me go over here. I see your hand is up. Let's do this. I'm going to, let me try something. Okay, let's. I see your hand, Rachel. So Rachel, can you speak? Yeah, sound like I hear you. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, let's see if I can get Rachel, if you could type it in, because I'm asking you to unmute. So, and I hear, sound like I hear someone in the background. Hey, Rachel, try it again. So I've muted everyone. The only person that's unmuted is Rachel. I'm sorry, Rachel. Matter of fact, what we're going to do is, Rachel, I'm going to dial you and you can give me your question. That's important that we get your question this morning. 1 second here. Okay, I'm dialing Rachel. Hey, good morning, Rachel. Can you hear me? Okay, good deal. Go ahead. I'll address your question. I'll take the question, then I'll address it to the community. Or your aha.
My aha moment was coming from per se the term God and Jesus and what have you. It does depend on the audience, but I learned, I began to, my talent was hanging around the young people. The young people of today is really catching on to source, God, source, universe, cosmos, that I think we, the older generation, are evolving more slowly than the younger generation because they're more open-minded. So when I'm talking to people, I would, when they say, well, God's essence is in us, and my easiest way of saying is, if you're a female, so source is of, God is of inside of you, of the feminine nature.
Yes.
And if I'm talking to a male, source is in you of the masculine nature. He or she, however, does not have a gender. That's my easiest way of explaining it to someone that have a problem with it.
Yes. Yes. So that is, I hung up there, but Rachel just made an observation that one, the younger community are using these terminologies. I was sitting out at lunch yesterday, and there was a young group of people, probably about in their late 30s, and they were using terms like universe, and I chuckled. But as I listened, they were using universe and they were speaking in terms of God. So the language is changing, and like you use a great example in that God source is a spirit, but it expresses in this realm as a flower. It expresses in this realm as a tree. It expresses in this realm as you and me. If I'm a male, source is expressing as a male. Source expresses as a female. But the essence of source is a spirit, just as well as we are spirits. But we express as a physical being. We express as an emotional being. We express as a mental being, but our true essence is a spiritual being. Great. That's a great takeaway to be able to share with somebody. Awesome. So I think that we've had a great time together this morning. I will clean it up and I will edit it and I'll get it out to each of you. I want to encourage all of you to consider joining us this week, either on Monday through Friday or on Tuesday. I also encourage those who haven't to complete the survey. And lastly, this week I unveiled the frequently asked question. We had a frequently asked question this week, and I did send that out to you all. I can see of 100 people opened it, 500 people got it, 100 people opened the email, and about 15 people read the question answer response. Yes, I'm able to see through my statistics. I don't know who you are, but I can tell who that it is being read or not read. And so for the vast majority of the people who received the Q&A, they did not read it. So all I can do is lead lead you to the oasis, to the fountain, but you got to put that pail in there and pull that up. So just saying that. So I'm not discouraged, but I'm just encouraging you all to take advantage of what value I bring to each of you. So you guys have a wonderful week. And I look forward to engaging you some way and somehow this week. So